Hello. I thought I would try a cigarette today, but I don't have the apparatus to light it. I guess the lighter. I don't know. I mean, I've never I've never lit a cigarette in my entire life. In my entire life. But I thought this matched my outfit today, and a friend of mine had cigarettes, so I said, "Can I have one of those for my video?" And he said, "Okay." And so I took one, and voila, this is my cigarette. Voila. And how are you today, my darling? Let's put that over here. Let's put that here. Don't tell my dad and my mom that I had a cigarette because they will be absolutely horrified because that's considered to be very bad in my little microcosm. Okay, so today we're talking about we're talking about value. We're talking about value, and we're talking about the fact that how much is an eye and how much is a tooth, right? Um, I love my teeth. I have a lot of trouble with them, but I love them. You know, they're all I have. And I imagine that you love yours, right? But I think more than anything, I love my eyes because I know that they're not considered to be beautiful eyes. They're not white enough and big enough, and they have no lashes, but I can see out of them. And for me, that's priceless, you know. And especially because, I mean, I've said before, I think on my social media, on my Instagram, that my father has lost his vision, and so I'm even more acutely aware of how fortunate I am and how lucky I am to be able to see for the moment, okay? And I'm sorry, I'm not religious, but I gotta do that. And so today I thought we could talk about this issue of value and how do we value a human being. And it's something that I spoke about in the book because, you know, the notion that third parties were setting prices for human beings to be sold as commodities in international and transcontinental commerce with the statutory and apparent authority of powerful governments such as the British Empire, the British government, the British monarchy, and later the United States government is particularly troubling because it seems to me that if you're going to sell a person you who didn't agree to be sold in the first place, who never said they were for sale, a person who owns their body by virtue, as I've said a million times, of the possess the best blah 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 of the should we start that again? No, I want you to see my bloopers because I'm not perfect. Um, by virtue of the possessive pronoun, right? That we all answer to ourselves, my body. My body is not me. My body belongs to me. Who is me? I don't even know. There's something inside of every human being, who we are on the inside, that is who we are. It's timeless. It transcends the grave. I believe that. And we, for a limited period of time, get to possess this body that we call my body, right? And the notion that governments and corporations, powerful corporations, including shipping companies, including banks, including insurance companies, and merchants, got together during this period of time called the transatlantic slave trade, whatever you want to call that horror, and set prices for human beings based solely on the value that they put on a person's body is particularly egregious, in my opinion. Because how do you value a human body? How much is an eye, right? How much is an eye worth to you? right? How much are your eyes worth? All right. Now, you can say that it's worth 200,000 euros, and that's what you would take for one of your eyes. And to me, that would be fine if that's what you would take. I wouldn't take 200,000 euros for one of my eyes. I wouldn't take 1 billion euros for one of my eyes. And it is my view that it is the owner of the property, the person who says, my eyes, my body, my hands, my feet, my big head, okay, my big nose, okay, my big ears, okay, these are mine. These are my possessions until the day I die. That is the person who has the exclusive right to set the price for their own body. You don't have to buy it, right? You don't have to buy it, but they have the right to say how much their eye and their tooth and their breasts, for God's sake, are worth. And their, as I said in this chapter in the book, I made a whole chart, and I said, look, how much do you want for your brain? What's a brain worth? You're going to talk about you're selling a human being for $35 in an international marketplace, like a piece of garbage, right? It's a savage, right? How much is the brain of this savage worth, right? How much is yours, right? What about their breasts and their ears and their eyes and tongue and mouth and throat? You think those are worth less than a Picasso painting? That, one of the things that one of the critics or someone commented on one of my comments on one of these blogs, and he basically said that, the governments shouldn't pay anything to these people or to their estate and their relatives because they had nothing. They had nothing, and then I thought to myself, wait a second, the government has paid the Jewish people for the Holocaust. And okay, I understand that the Jewish people are very wealthy people. They have Picassos and they have castles, and they have a lot of possessions. No, everybody knows that, right? In general, it's a generalization. Not every Jewish person has that, but many of the people who were just violated during the Holocaust were people with a lot of possessions. But I wonder whether these people felt that the compensation they received from these governments, and some of them received up to 400,000 euros, I think, or dollars, certainly, for the pain and suffering and just the horrible experience they went through. I don't think that $400,000 for any of these people, it could have been the value of one of their paintings, their Picassos, or what have you, but I don't think any of these people felt that that amount of money made up for the violation of, their bodies and, of the possession of themselves, their freedom, their, the essence of who they were. And, fortunately for the Jewish people, most of them were not sold into slavery. I think there was some slavery that sort of went on during that 4-year period of the Holocaust. I think it was approximately 4 years. But by and large, that wasn't the main thrust of the violation against these people. And it's not to compare violations in that way, because a violation is a violation is a violation. But it is to say that when you systematically and systemically subject a certain group of people to this kind of violation, where you say you have nothing and you're worth nothing, but I will pay $35 for you so that you can spend the rest of your life on my plantation doing my work for no pay at all for your entire life, and then I'm going to encourage you to breed so that you can have children, so that I can do that to your children because I value life, right? I'm a pro-lifer, right? I'm all about human rights and democracy and rule of law. And you have a government who is helping you to do this, right? A government who has not to this day corrected the record about these human beings who are widely perceived as non-persons. It's written in books. I mean, when I was in law school, I remember reading that. Don't ask me exactly which book it was, but it's in the books. These non-persons, right, who were chattel, right? And who, so basically they're despeciated right in my face, right? Right on the page, right? And so owned owned, and they never said they were for sale. They own them. They're in their bodies first in time and first in right. They never said they were for sale, but they're somehow owned because the government has given third parties permission and authority to do this to people, right? And then the excuse for the government's failure to compensate these people and their relatives and their descendants and their families to this day is that they had nothing. In fact, they got a lot more out of slavery because they got civilization. For me, this is very highly problematic because I beg to differ about what they had and what they didn't have. Because one good eye, okay, one good eye is worth more than 1,000,000 fucking Picassos. Okay? Okay?